Hey y'all. Okay. I am, there we go, live now. Oh, I am. Privacy. What's up, you guys? All right. Welcome, everybody, to my platform. My name is Nicole Pludre. I'm a person in recovery. You can call me Nikki or Nicole, whichever one you prefer. Before we get started, let's put our lip gloss on. If you have a lip gloss addiction like I do, go ahead, click your lip gloss, and let's apply. So, today's lip gloss of the stream is the Tarte Maracuja Lip Plumping Oil in the color Mixed Berries. So, what's up, you guys? Like I said, my name is Nikki Pludre. I'm a person in recovery. I've been sober with the help of medication-assisted treatment, therapy, recovery support groups for the last 9 years. My sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. And I love talking about drugs, addiction, recovery, and so much freaking more. Today, we have a guest speaker coming to join me. His name is JD. And basically, JD and me had collaborated together, I want to say like 3 years ago. And he had shared his story then. And now he's at a different place in his sobriety. And so he is going to come on today and update us on where he's at in his recovery, whatever that looks like to him. You guys know here on my account, we support multiple pathways to recovery. Okay. We don't believe in just one way to recover. We support plant medicine. We support MAT. We support abstinence-based recovery. We support harm reduction. We support people that are out there that are still using substances. We meet you where you're at and love you and support you throughout your journey. Because just because I got into recovery doesn't mean that I'm above you, doesn't mean that I have it all figured out. Baby, I am learning every single day. And JD, I know you're back there in the back. Just hang tight. I'm building up the stream and getting everybody in here and sharing the video out, and then I'll pull you up on camera. Okay, man? I just want you to know I know you're back there. So for those of you guys that are just coming in, if you guys don't mind, please help me by sharing this video into any Facebook groups that you're a part of. Share it with anybody that you think might benefit from hearing JD's story. And let's help each other. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm sharing the video. How's everybody doing on this wonderful Wednesday? Okay. Are you staying sober? If you're sober, drop your sobriety date in the comment section. Let me know what state you're from. If you're not sober, that's okay too. If you're struggling with something and you want to share what you're struggling with, drop that in the comment section below. Like I said, this is a place for everyone to garner support and love. And it's just not a place where we judge anybody for being different or recovering differently than we do. Okay, so let me finish up sharing. Okay, bear with me. I just ate some hot and sour soup, you guys, from the Chinese kitchen here in Little Rock, Arkansas. It is my favorite hot and sour soup. I buy it from this place and this place only. And I went in to see the little lady who makes it. And I told her, you know, because they're like getting older, I said, if you guys ever retire or shut this place down, would you please share the recipe with me and my husband? Because like, I want to make this stuff in bulk. That's how good it is. This hot and sour soup is so freaking good. So if you guys are local to me and you live in Little Rock, Arkansas, and you have not tried out the Chinese kitchen hot and sour soup, I'm telling you guys, it's so freaking good. Okay, enough blabbing now. Let me get myself on here so I can say hi to everybody. Hey, guys, I see everybody. Hey, Anita. Hey, Buddy. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Tamara. What's up, guys? Thank y'all so much for joining the live stream. Thank you for commenting. Shout out to all of you guys that are sober and celebrating sobriety birth dates. If you're not in recovery or you're struggling with addiction, you're in the right place. Welcome. Come stay and hang out with us. Going to judge you, and like I said, nobody's going to look down on you. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my pie hole. I'm going to bring JD up here, and we're going to get to talking, okay? So let me grab him on. Dee-dee-dee. Da-da-da-da. Hey, man, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Nicole?
Not much. Can you hear me good?
Nikki or Nicole?
Oh, whatever. Nikki or it's either one. You can call me either one. I like both of them.
Okay.
Okay. So, what's up? Long time no see. I'm so excited to have you back on.
I know. It's been a couple years, I think, since you did my show and I did your show. A lot's
Yeah,
happened.
I think it was like 2021 or 2020. I can't remember, but I have the link to our show, and I'm going to link it, you guys, in the comment section in the description box of this video, so you guys can watch JD's first episode and then watch this episode and then put it all together. So
it was definitely 2021 because I started my podcast July of 2021. Now I'm coming up on 200 episodes, and by the end of September, I'll be at 200 episodes.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I'm so excited. So how is your podcast doing? Do you enjoy doing that?
Yeah. It's basically, I find it to be little mini meetings because they say in AA and a meeting is just two alcoholics having a conversation. So I find that learning about other people, all the different modalities of recovery is a really cool thing to hear. Some people recover on mat. Some people are completely abstinent to everything. And I like hearing the in-between, the people that are white knuckling it. They're not using any kind of program, just straight willpower. Yeah. And I can appreciate that too, because I have no willpower. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm the same way.
I do NA 5 days a week at noon. After my last relapse, I got back into going to NA. And I do a Zoom meeting.
So before you tell us anything, so this is what I would like you to do. So what I'm going to do, I would love for you to kind of give us a rundown of where you were at when we first met in 2021 and you came on the show. Share what your recovery journey looked like there. Just a really, you don't have to go into great detail, just kind of share. And then I want you to transition into taking us into what happened and where you're at today. I'm going to mute myself and just allow you to take the lead, okay? If I have any questions, I'll just ask.
All right, yeah, jump in whenever. So when we first did this, I had a meeting center, a recovery meeting center. We did AA, we did NA, we did Al-Anon meetings, we did mental health check-in meetings, and we were funding it ourselves. That's why the name of my podcast is MJ's Progress Not Perfection, because my wife is Mikey with an M, and I'm JD. So that was the name of our meeting center. So I kind of named my podcast after our meeting center to kind of get some attention to what we were doing locally. Unfortunately, we were funding it ourselves. It wasn't working, and we had to shut down. And when we shut down, I stopped going to meetings. I stopped talking to my sponsor. I stopped practicing the steps, and eventually I relapsed. It took me a while to relapse. I got 6 years clean from opiates. April 25th is an important day to me because it's the last time that I did opiates. I was a really big oxy. I was doing oxys for a decade, and I quit them in 2018. And that's when I learned about recovery for the first time, was 2018. And I've been sober from alcohol since February 29th of 2020. So it's been 4.5 years now that I haven't had a drink. But the problem is my father passed away last June, and I am not good at processing grief. I had a fiance that took her life 9 years ago, and all I knew how to do was drink and snort cocaine. And snort pills. Those were my escapes. That's how I dealt with grief. And when my dad passed, I had a psychiatrist, and I manipulated him into giving me Ativan, which isn't too bad, but I wasn't taking them as prescribed. And eventually I manipulated more, and I got him to tell me to give me Valium. It didn't take me long to realize, I can snort Valium and get even higher.
Yep.
and I found myself snorting Valium, and I used to use weed as a medicine, and then when he passed, I started smoking weed all day, every day, and I was using it to numb as opposed to for medical reasons.
So, when you were using it medicinally, can you kind of share with us what that looked like as a part of your recovery? Is it kind of like what I do where I take my Suboxone in the morning and then I go about my day? Or was it like a as needed basis, like if you were having anxiety or, or something like that?
It was always at night to help me fall asleep. I have severe insomnia, and horrible restless leg syndrome, and it would take me forever to fall asleep and stay asleep. So I would smoke in bed, and usually I would get up and hit my bowl a couple times because I loved a mixture of coffee and weed. And
Yeah.
it kind of like wake me up and give me a baseline for the day and then start my job. And I would be in a good mood to start my day because I have not a shitty job, but I have a job where I talk to patients all day long, for a hospital system where I'm scheduling, and nobody ever calls their hospital in a good mood. Nobody's in a good mood when you're calling your doctors because you need an appointment. Usually you're in pain and you're having a bad day and you take it out on somebody. Just yesterday morning at 7:15 in the morning, I got called a worthless piece of shit. Those are the breaks. I don't know how you roll out of bed that angry, but this guy did.
So, but you were utilizing it as a medication, and you're heavily involved in meetings, like 12-step meetings. How nobody did you not share that you were utilizing medical marijuana? Because in my experience, you know how vocal I am about being on mat. A lot of times I will not be welcome, or people will act like I'm welcome, but then boop, 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 boop behind my back when I'm not listening. You know what I mean?
It actually caused my first relapse. I when I 2018 April 25th. By the time I got sober in California, and I was considered Cali sober. I went to a halfway house, a sober living called High Sobriety, where they teach you how to use marijuana as a medicine. And I was using it strictly as a medicine when I was there. When I celebrated 1 year clean and sober, I flew back out to LA and went to all my old meetings to collect, chips.
Yeah.
And I was going to all my old meetings, and it was widely known that I was using cannabis, but it was completely accepted. I came back to middle Pennsylvania, where I'm from, where it's a lot stricter. And they almost didn't give me a 1 year chip because they were like, well, you still smoke weed. And I was like, I'm not coming back here again.
I can never imagine withholding a chip from somebody. Like, honestly, I can't believe they would eat. Honestly, this is what I had. I can't believe they would do that. Like, even let's say that you were drunk as a skunk, high on cocaine, and you were telling everybody that you had 1 year sober. Like, just to keep you in the door and to help you and to meet you where you're at, baby, take your 1 year chip. We love you and we'll love you until you can love yourself, right?
Yep. And I relapsed exactly a month later, on 13 months, exactly May 25th. I went out and I bought a 6-pack. And they always say in AA, which I go to NA now instead of AA because I can talk about drugs there. I can't talk about drugs openly in AA without getting shot looks. And they always say that, sorry, I'm battling a fever right now. They always say we have to drink every last drop. And so out of spite, I bought a 6-pack. I drank 4 and I dumped the other 2 in the sink to prove that I wasn't an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But really, only an alcoholic would do that kind of math and
Right.
think that far into it. And I didn't start drinking alcoholically right away. It took me 9 months. It was a progression where eventually I started drinking a bottle of Jack Daniels 4 or 5 nights a week. Each night, a whole bottle of Jack Daniels. I would go through 2 liters soda, make Jack and Cokes all night long, and just get hammered. And I woke up on leap day 2/29/20, and I said to my wife, either because she's an alcoholic too, and I said to my wife, either we need to quit drinking or I need a drink right now. And she was like, I'll quit drinking with you. And I was like, okay, because this is a pretty cool sober day, leap day. We can only celebrate once every 4 years. So,
Yeah, and your wife was willing to quit drinking with you. That was
yep.
pretty awesome.
And then COVID happened 2 weeks later and shut everything down. So we had to do it without meetings. We, just because Zoom meetings weren't even a thing right away. So we had to just rely on each other. We're codependent, you know what I mean? It's very well known between us, and it is what it is. But we made it through all those dark days in, COVID days without drinking. We used cannabis because the dispensaries were still open, luckily. So we did use cannabis during that time, but we still haven't had a sip of alcohol in 4.5 years. She has MS, so she still uses cannabis in her recovery, and I don't blame her one bit. She literally needs it. She does recovery Dharma meetings.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever heard of recovery Dharma?
Yes, I have.
It's like the Buddhist approach to AA, basically. Instead of sponsors, you have mentors, and instead of the steps, you have inquiries, and it's pretty cool. It's not for me, but it's for her, and she's doing a great job with it. She does a meeting every day at 9 a.m. And I do my noon meeting every day, and I do Gamblers Anonymous on the weekends because I'm also a compulsive gambler, and I've been in GA since July 13th. And so I just celebrated 30 days without a bet last week.
Oh, that's a big accomplishment. I have a friend that struggles with gambling, and like she's constantly on the online things since it's so readily available, being able to just do the little phone games and stuff. I know that it like really she would be borrowing money from all of our friends and stuff, and it really got her into a bind. So let me ask you this. So I know you alcohol in 2020, but what made you decide? Because last time we talked, you were like, medical marijuana was like really benefiting you. It was helping you. Why did you stop? Like, is it because it wasn't benefiting you anymore? Did you have negative side effects? Like,
It's
what
because I was
happened to?
abusing it. I was abusing it. Let's be real. I was abusing it. I wasn't using it as a medicine anymore. I was using it
Okay,
as
yes, you said that you were just smoking cheap and blunts all day long, huh?
bowls. I always felt like I wasted weed in a blunt, and I liked bowls because they were smaller, more compact. I could lay in bed and hit a bowl. I could sit at my desk and hit a bowl, and it was a lot easier for me to smoke bowls. And so that's what I did. But I was smoking all day, every day. And I felt like since I had that relapse I had with, benzos, I felt like I was going to try to do recovery differently. I've been through the steps in AA 6 years ago, and that was really helpful to me. But NA has a much more rigid program when it comes to their step work. Like there's the basic textbook, which is their version of the big book, and then there's a step working guide that's like 100 pages that you have to fill out all these questions and answers in order to move on to the next. So it's a lot more intensive of a 12-step program, and I feel like trying something new was what I needed to do in the moment. And that's why I figured, you know what, I'm just going to cut out everything. Like I still take my mental health meds. I'm bipolar as shit. So I still take my mental health meds. But I don't take benzos anymore, and I don't smoke weed anymore. And I haven't had a drink and don't plan on drinking anytime soon. I was just saying to my wife the other night, it's crazy. We have a 10-year-old. And I was saying it's crazy that I started drinking at 11 years old, and our son is 10 and nowhere
Yeah.
near alcohol because it's not in the house.
Can you imagine your 10-year-old starting to drink alcohol, knowing that you drank at 11? Like, I have a 10-year-old too. I
Yeah,
can't even imagine it.
exactly. Like she was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that. Like she started drinking at 13. So we both started young in adolescence when it comes to drinking. I became an alcoholic when I was 12. And I'm not saying I drank every night like an alcoholic, but I was drinking to numb the pain. I was getting bullied at school. And what happened was I started drinking at 11 for fun. Like on the weekends, my friend would sleep over. We would sneak into my parents' basement and steal Captain Morgan and make Captain and Coke. And then when I was 12, a friend of ours was hit by a car and passed away suddenly. And I said to my friend that I've already drank with, like, hey, if we drink, we're going to feel better. And that was me using alcohol to numb away the pain in that moment. So if I had a bad day at school, when my parents would go to sleep, I would sneak into the basement and make a Captain and Coke and take it to my bedroom and drink a Captain and Coke to help me fall asleep and make the bad feelings go away.
Yeah.
So to me, that's drinking like an alcoholic. It wasn't how much I was drinking. It was the why I was drinking.
Right. So what I'm hearing you to say is that through your recovery journey, you've tried different things to manage, right? Like as a management. And so now you're realizing that, those things that you used to manage, they got you to a certain point, but you didn't get farther from that. And so now you're taking the next step to go to the next point, and you're doing abstinence, total abstinence, besides your mental health meds, which we don't even,
Yeah.
So now you're an abstinence guy.
Yep.
Yeah, like to me, that's just like, I mean, I'm proud of you, of course, but I'm just like, I would have never even thought it. You know what I mean? Like, so
I'll have
letting go of the weed, was that hard to let go of the weed?
Yeah, it was.
Did you go through withdrawal? How did you feel?
I slept like shit for the first month. I took a month off of work with FMLA and short-term disability just to like get myself back on track. When I came back to work, I talked to my managers and they allowed me to work an hour later every day if I could take an hour and a half long lunch break in order to do my NA noon meeting. So they allowed me to take an hour and a half off for lunch so that I could do an NA meeting every day at noon.
That's a pretty cool job.
Yeah, so my managers are really understanding, and my days can be rough sometimes because of the patients. But at the same time, I'm not going to find a job that's going to be more accommodating than they are. So, it can be shitty some days, but at the end of the day, it's worth sticking with them because of how much they accommodate my schedule.
What about coming off of benzodiazepines? How did you do that?
I don't recommend it the way that I did it. Luckily, I had only been using daily benzos for about 10 months at the time. So I didn't have any like gnarly withdrawals, but if you very much put yourself into a position that can be dangerous coming off of them.
Oh yeah.
And it definitely played a part in my sleep schedule because of like, I tried stop taking gabapentin too, because I was prescribed gabapentin.
Uh-huh.
But it was after a month of doing a trial of cutting out GABA, I had to get back on it again because I just wasn't sleeping right without it. It helps me a lot with my restless leg syndrome.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Down. But going back to the weed, I'll have 5 months sober from weed and benzos on the 1st. And this is the longest I've gone without smoking weed since I was 13 and I'm 38. So you're talking 25 years is the longest I've gone without smoking. And I had to go through 420 sober.
Yeah.
I quit at the worst possible time. I couldn't even enjoy 420 this year.
Do you notice that you have more energy, that you're more clear-minded, that you're maybe eating less? Because for me, like I've tried to use marijuana in my recovery before. My sister works at a dispensary, and that's her pathway that she uses to stay sober from methamphetamine. So I have tried it a couple of times, and I will eat everything in sight. It doesn't matter what strain it is. I will eat until I get so sick that I'm throwing up. And so I've tried it a couple of times, but I always end up regretting it because I just can't stop myself from eating once I do it. So have you noticed any like of those kind of changes, like positive changes or changes that you just think are better now that you're not smoking?
I'm definitely more clear-minded. It's a lot easier to record all my episodes because I'm not as easily distracted, and I enjoy playing the therapist in my episodes. And if I was smoking, I would get lost all of a sudden because like my brain would just travel away from me
Yeah.
and I would lose focus on what I was talking about. I can definitely focus a lot more now. Um, like if I'm talking to a patient on the phone during work, I actually can pay attention to what they're talking about and not be distracted easily. Because before I would get so easy, like a dog, you know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
squirrel and just completely lose what they were talking about. Then they would get upset with me with all good. They should be upset with me because I'm not paying attention. I'm not listening because my mind is scrolling somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I definitely think I can focus a lot better now compared to what I was, a couple years ago or a few months ago, really.
That's pretty, I mean, that's how I've always, like I said, I've always envied my sister because it helps her so much, but I just cannot control myself. And I'm like you, I'll lose focus, I'll get off task, and I'm already like jump from task to task and have problems focusing anyway. So it would just exasperate that. Um, So you didn't really have any bad withdrawals coming off the benzos. I don't think, you're really fortunate because even just being on them 10 months, like I have seen people have debilitating benzodiazepine withdrawals.
Yeah, I think that it was also a lot of mind over matter. It was a lot of I
Yeah, for
don't
sure.
I don't have to do this anymore and I'm not going to do this anymore. And I quit cold turkey with alcohol too, which you
You
know,
did. And you
yeah.
didn't have any bad experience doing that either?
No, I did. I don't recommend it. You know what I mean? You should
Yeah.
definitely be medicated if you're going to come off of alcohol. And you should definitely be medicated if you're coming off benzos. I'm not sure why I didn't go that route. I could have easily went to the hospital and gotten all the right medications to stave off, withdrawals. But I wanted it to hurt. I wanted it to hurt as a reminder of I don't want to go back to this again. Um,
Yeah.
I did the same thing when I went to rehab 6 years ago. I was on a 10-year bender of oxys every day, all day for 10 years. And when I went to rehab, they're like, okay, we're going to give you Suboxone to help you with the withdrawals. And I was like, no, I'm just going to get through it over the next 4 or 5 days. I'm going to sweat it out. I don't want it to be comfortable because then I'm going to feel like I could come back here again and just do it all over again. I wanted it to hurt. I wanted to learn a lesson from it. And I
Yeah.
completely support Matt, because it does save a lot of lives. I have a friend from rehab. He reached out to me earlier saying he wanted to be on my show. And he just recently got clean off H and fentanyl by using a methadone.
Yeah.
And I completely support him doing that because it's what works for him. Everybody's different. Everyone's going to have different ways of recovery. And who am I to be like, well, you're doing it wrong because you're taking methadone. Whatever you want to do that's going to help you keep a needle out of your arm I'm all for it.
Yeah. And I think, I think that way too. Like, what I can handle, somebody else might not. Like you telling me that you cold turkeyed off of benzos and the alcohol, and I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my gosh, I remember when I went through benzo withdrawal. Like it was like in my situation with my son getting taken from me at CPS custody, like I was losing my mind. And so I always try to think about what other people's circumstances are, what they're going through, how they were raised, what their coping levels at, because like a lot of times when we're trying to get into recovery, we don't have the ability to cope. We are like just barely making it by the skin of our teeth. Now that so I'm just really impressed that you are on the abstinence pathway now, like honestly. So now that you are on this abstinence pathway, I know that you're feeling so many more feelings now. What is it like feeling feelings? What is it like? How are you handling that?
Prayer, meditation, jumping into the steps again, having a new sponsor, talking things out. At every meeting I go to, I share up to 5 minutes. I find, I've been told I should start journaling. But I feel like sharing every single day, whether I'm in NA or whether I'm in GA or whether I'm in AA, You name an A, I'm probably in it. So I share it every single meeting I go to. And I think that's therapeutic enough as opposed to putting my pen to paper, because I get those feelings out each day, whether it's in my NA group, we read just for today, and then a speaker will share on it for 15 minutes. And then you can raise your hand and speak for 5 minutes. And I choose to speak at every single meeting based on, like, just for today was about friendships. And I talked about how I had the same best friends since first grade, 7 of us, and 4 of us got high together for a decade. And I'm not friends with any of them anymore. A lot of them, kind of turned their back on me when I got clean.
Yeah.
And now I'm making friendships through my recovery, through my podcast. I'm meeting a lot of people that I became really close with. One girl that I've had on my show six times, it'll be 7 next week. Her and I have a great rapport, and we're always checking in with each other on Messenger and seeing how each other are doing. I'm building friendships in a network of people where I can feel safe and I can be vulnerable without having to worry about any kind of judgment being passed on me. You're on mute.
I think that's pretty awesome. I really want, like, as a man, okay, abstinence. How is your intimate relationship with you and your wife? Are you guys, if you don't mind sharing, are you guys, like, is it new now that you're completely sober from all mind and mood altering substances? Is it easier for you and your wife to be intimate? Are you guys having, like, are y'all having any issues communicating, or is it like super easy for y'all to communicate? What's that like?
Our communication has gotten better over the last few weeks. We're about to do marriage counseling together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of guys are not willing to do that. They're like, no, I'm not going to counseling.
No, anything to do to keep, my marriage, because, we met when I was 3 weeks shy of a year clean. And, I made a promise to my sponsor that I would wait 1 full year without getting into a relationship. She was newly divorced, and I was coming up on 1 year clean and sober. And we went into this like, hey, we're just going to be friends with benefits.
Yeah.
And within a few days of talking, we were already saying, I love you. And when I came back from California with 1 year clean, I proposed to her. So we wasted no time. We fell in love right away, and we knew it. And we're now getting back to talking more again, because I wasn't communicating when I was getting high.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like, I talk all day long on the phones. I answer probably 100 phone calls a day on average. So talking all day long for 11 and a half hours, I'm fried sometimes by the end of the night to have a conversation with anybody. I'll say to her, we'll get in bed, and I'll say, do you want to zone out or pay attention to something on TV? And, if she says zone out, I'll put on South Park or Family Guy or Bob's Burgers, something that we've seen 100 times that we can just put on in the background while we kind of just like mindlessly scroll or do whatever, have a conversation. Yeah. Tonight's definitely going to be a Bob's Burgers night. I put that on and I'm not feeling good. I just took my temperature. I'm at 100.
So you got a fever? What's going on?
I don't know. All I know is I have 100.5 fever, and
man,
canceling on Nicole.
I'm so glad that you came on anyway. Like, it means a lot to me. Thank you for doing that.
I've been through worse.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not going to, I just want to ask you a couple more questions, because like I said, me being a person on MAT, like, I'm being transparent with you guys. It is an opioid, and it does dull some of my emotions. And I'm already a really emotional person anyway, but I can just imagine if I wasn't on Suboxone, I would probably be crying 20 times a day instead of 12 times a day, And so how have your emotions been since switching to abstinence? And are you having a hard time managing and controlling your emotions?
I'm a pretty emotional guy. I'll cry during a movie or a TV show that I've seen 100 times. It doesn't take much to make me cry, and I enjoy being abstinent for the first time in my life. I'm enjoying feeling my feelings, whether they're good or bad. Um, I don't have to feel like I need to run. I used to always say, fear has an acronym, and it's fuck everything and run.
Yeah.
And now to me, the acronym is face everything and recover. And that's the kind of thing that I look at fear now, is that I'm going to face it head on and see where it takes me every day, because every day that I wake up sober is a great day now.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the gambling recovery, because I mean, like, I don't really, like I said, I have a friend that struggles with gambling addiction, but I don't know much about recovering from gambling. So would you share about that with us?
Yeah, sure. So what had happened was I started out, sports betting is legal in Pennsylvania. And so I used to bet on football on the weekends. On Sundays, I would make some bets for football. And, that was all good and dandy. Football season ended and baseball season started. Baseball's on every single night. So I found myself betting 7 days a week as opposed to on Sundays. And I was losing 20, 30 bucks a day, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but that shit adds up.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And sometimes more than that. And my wife needed my I use Cash App for everything. And my wife needed my Cash App statements for my health insurance. And I was like, listen, before you even looked at this, you're going to see a lot of FanDuel payments. And she was very upset, which she had every right to be, because we had agreed on a $10 a week limit, and I was going well over that. And borrowing money from people, just like your friend, you said, borrowing money from people just to be able to sustain my habit. I didn't lose all the time. Like, I've won a few bets that were substantial, but it's not worth doing it anymore because I would lose way more than I'd win. And those meetings, it's very similar to AA and NA. They just changed the wording around.
Did it make you feel high to gamble? Did you get like a feeling from it? I mean, kind of I don't really.
It filled a void. It filled a void.
Okay. So like you felt like you were missing something, and so when you would gamble, it would make you feel like that something was there instead of not there.
Exactly.
So maybe you were struggling, maybe feeling depressed that day, and you get off work and you go bet on a game, and what would happen if you didn't win and you lost? What did that feel like?
It felt shitty because I was lying to my wife about it, which is part of the reason that we're doing marriage counseling, because I was lying for so long about betting. And which is why I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And I'm all for therapy. I am 100%, all for people that are trying to work on themselves. I find that therapy is, I hate to say, extremely therapeutic. But therapy is a way to release those kinds of feelings that you're having. I do therapy. I'm off on Wednesdays because my wife's MS. She has a caregiver, and the caregiver is here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And I have Wednesdays off in order to take care of her and help her. So I do all my doctor's appointments, and she does majority of her appointments on Wednesdays when I'm off work. So I had therapy earlier. She's the one that got me to come back with the podcast. She was like, I feel like you were staring at your phone all day long watching bets. And as opposed to watching bets, why don't you bring back your podcast now that you've had a few months sober again? And she made a good point, because now I'm constantly, chopping up old videos and posting them on my YouTube and as shorts, posting them on my TikTok.
Yeah, get addicted to social media and posting and staying consistent and growing your social media. That's what I've done. think I'm addicted to that.
I probably post 5 different shorts a day on my page, and I didn't really even talk about it yet. In September's Recovery Month, and I'm celebrating Recovery Month by releasing a new episode of my podcast each day for September.
Yeah, that's going to be dope. That's really cool. I'm excited to do it with you. I can't wait to come and talk.
I did it 3 years ago. The reason I'm at 200 episodes is because I'll like do recordings in binges. And so I started in July of 2021, and I was like, oh, September is National Recovery Month. So I released an episode each day in September of 21. And then that winter, people relapse more in the winter than any other month. Like, it's well known, between the holidays, between the seasonal depression, being stuck in the house all day. There's a million reasons why people relapse during the winter time. So I released a new I even one up myself. I released a new episode from Thanksgiving Eve all the way to New Year's Day. Like a new episode every single day for a month and a half.
That on social media, I don't know if you've like paid attention to me over the years, but a lot of people would, I always built my social media with not a leg up. No big TikTokers or YouTubers gave me an opportunity to come on their platforms. Nobody gave me a hand up, right? It was all me working hard, and it was consistently posting multiple times a day, engaging with my community every single day, doing live streams like this. In 2020, I was live streaming Monday through Friday, or Monday through Saturday, and just taking Sunday off all through the pandemic, building a community. It took me a good 5 years just to get to where I'm at today, where I have over 100,000 followers on multiple platforms. That was me posting every day, multiple times a day, live streaming, messaging people back, answering phone calls, texting people, answering DMs, like full-time job. And that's why I like to have people on my channel. Everybody always says, oh, Nicole, thank you so much for having me on your channel. Nobody helped me when I was starting out. I wish that somebody would have just gave me a little, and so whenever I have an opportunity to bring somebody else up to help them, I want to help other people build their social medias. I'm really passionate about that. I love doing it. And so I do it for a job. And so I love doing it. And so you being consistent and posting 5 times a day, like, people think I'm crazy, but it takes that. It takes you posting about 3 to 5 reels a day on multiple platforms for you to really see substantial growth without being one of those people that just goes viral, right? Because in our niche, I feel like the way you're going viral in the addiction niche is if you're posting like really polarizing, controversial content, or you're posting people in vulnerable situations, like filming people when they're high or going to homeless camps. And we don't do that kind of stuff.
I call it the Kensington hustle.
Yeah. Yes.
I grew up 20 minutes from Kensington, Philadelphia, which is widely known as one of the biggest open air drug markets in the country, if not the world. And people will go viral because they'll drive through Kensington, recording people as they're nodding out, bent over to the side, completely out of it high. And it frustrates me so much. And it's not because of the attention they're getting from these posts. It frustrates me as somebody who I'm trying to show the positive in addiction. I'm trying to shed a light on things as opposed to trying to make fun of somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I'm not going to post something I posted earlier, then I took it down because it was me explaining how I used to get high. And I didn't want to get, attention and to where I was talking about how I used to snort pills.
Well, to be honest with you, I feel like you sharing your personal experience with that. So I get a lot of shit for this because I do tell stories about my active addiction online, but I want to give you like a different perspective. So people like you are finding my content because you relate to my content in the aspect of I'm sharing about my recovery journey, right? But what about the people who are in the thick of it, who are still snorting Roxy's, who are still shooting methamphetamine, and they come across a video where you or I are sharing about how we used to use snort pills and shoot meth, right? And so then,
I'll tell you what I did.
okay, go ahead.
I had to drive about 2 hours each way to pick up my pills every day. I would do that trip 4 or 5 times a week. And I would always buy in bulk so that would be able to last me. And which means I spent a lot of time in my car. And usually when I would meet my dealer, we would drive past each other on a street and throw a pack of cigarettes to him, and I had money in it. He would throw a pack of cigarettes to me, and they would have my pills in it. And then I would drive right back home again. So I started stashing full length straws in my center console. And what I would do is I would bend them in half where my camera was. I'd bend the straw in half. I would drop the pills inside the straw, crush it with my teeth, and then extend the straw out and blast them that way. And I would put sometimes 2 or 4 pills, and then I would drive 2 hours back.
And so by sharing that experience, like I said, a lot of people do the same. They say, oh my gosh, you're glorifying addiction. No, what I'm doing is I'm connecting with people who are in that situation. So I think it's really easy for us as people in recovery to get disconnected from where we used to be. And that's what I try to put myself in the mindset that there's still people who are in the thick of it, who are watching this video right now, and they are high. And they are high. And I want them to connect and know that they can connect with me, because I was saying it before I brought you up here. We are not better than you just because we're sober. I am nobody. I am just a girl online telling story times, sharing my experience. And so that's how I believe that people feel like they can be a part of the community, and they can trust, and they can grow with us. And then they see us continuing on to stay sober. And then that gives them the opportunity to say, you know what? Maybe I'll give this recovery thing a try. Oh, and by having you on right now and you sharing about your different, like, let's be so for real, JD. A lot of people would have said you were never sober to begin with, just like they would say to me, I was never sober to begin with because I was utilizing medication-assisted treatment, because you were utilizing medical marijuana. Okay, they would totally tell us that have a recovery journey to celebrate. But we're on here sharing our story authentically to what we went through. And there's people out there who are going, okay, so I can smoke marijuana, and if I'm stopping shooting meth and I'm just smoking marijuana, that's a positive change in my life. I can be in recovery and be a part of a community and have a place where I am safe and I fit in. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying completely, and I'm in a bunch of different groups on Facebook. Like I'm in your Discovery, Discovery with Discovery.
Discovering Recovery with Nicole. Yeah,
I'm in that group. I'm in the Faces of Opioids group. I'm in something called HAMS, which is Harm Reduction, Abstinence, Moderation, something. And they talk about tapering off alcohol. Having planned intox days where you drink once a week only, and they talk about all these different there's people completely sober on there. So I found being in a bunch of groups on Facebook has been helpful to spread the word. And then there's TikTok. There's an entire recovery community on TikTok where people aren't going to meetings, but they're relying on connecting with people through TikTok.
Yep.
And it's something that I had no idea that existed.
TikTok has a massive recovery community. Massive. Yep.
No, I'm learning that now. But I didn't, I wish I knew about all these different groups when I was in active addiction, because it could have given me some light at the end of the tunnel kind of feeling. Because early in recovery, it was hard to see the forest through the trees, that cliche. Yeah. And, cliches, they're a cliche for a reason, because usually they're true. but I'm really happy with where I'm at now. And
I'm really impressed. I have to tell you, I'm a little jealous, if you want to know the truth. I want to get to a point one day where I can also either transition to Sublocade and then stop taking Sublocade, or try to taper off Suboxone again one day in the future. And so I'm really, really proud of you, man. Like, I have to say that. Like, I know that you're feeling feelings that you've never felt. I know that you have emotions that are just like, I commend you, because it is a big step to you had a safety blanket in medical marijuana, something to fall back on. Like I say, my Suboxone's my full coverage insurance on my sobriety. It's like having State Farm. And so I really am proud of you. Like, that's a big step. It's a huge step. And, a lot of people aren't able to do that. And so that's a big deal to me. I'm really, really happy for you and proud of you. I commend you for that.
thank you. It definitely hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. I always say the juice is worth the squeeze.
I like that. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to tell us all about MJ's progress, not perfection. Totally. I want you to plug all your social medias. Tell us like when your shows are going to come on, what groups we need to join. And then after we hang up, after I let you go, please send me the links to all of these things so I can put them on this video and people can access them. Okay.
Well, like I said, I started it 3 years ago, and I do a lot of fun episodes. I've done a bunch of panel episodes where I have return guests come on. One of my earlier panel episodes, I had 3 people come back on and talk about harm reduction, and it was just an open discussion between the 4 of us. And now I am concentrating. I'm concentrating on putting out all these new stories. So if you follow me, it's only on YouTube now. I used to do audio for Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It just got too much for me to keep up with. So now I just focus on my YouTube channel. And yeah, September, I'm going to be releasing an episode every single day to celebrate Recovery Month. And I'm also going to be celebrating 200 total episodes by the end of the month as well. I have my TikTok and my Instagram are the same handle. They're at jd.dilks, DILKS. And it's jd.dilks on Instagram, jd.dilks on TikTok. I'm finally starting to get a following on TikTok. I just went over 2,000 followers the other day.
That's awesome. I'm telling you, keep posting on TikTok. You will see substantial growth on there pretty quickly, especially if you're getting into the recovery community. If you need any content ideas or a strategy to help you grow faster on TikTok, just ask me and I'll write out a little thing to help you out.
Yeah, lately in the last week or so, I've been averaging like 700 to 800 views per video. And on what I do is I'll cut up a video and I'll edit up a video and I'll post it on TikTok and I'll post it on YouTube as a short, because I know how they're trying to promote shorts. So I've been posting a ton of shorts. Sometimes I'll post them on my Instagram and my Facebook, but they don't get as many views as TikTok or YouTube does. So I've been mostly focusing on them. I do Instagram. Like the other day, I had a buddy on the show that I met through TikTok, and his name is Mike Fiore.
Oh, I know Mike.
Yeah, Mike's awesome. He's been on my show twice, and everything he says is fire. And so I cut up a video of him and I talking from like 2.5 years ago, and I posted it on Instagram, and I tagged him as a collaborator. And that I gained like 8 followers in like 12 hours just from that post alone.
Instagram has been my most challenging platform to grow. I just hit the 20K. I know you saw that post I made celebrating, because I was so proud to hit 20K. I've been building that account for 5 years. That's how long it's taken me.
And what do you got, like 188 on TikTok?
Yeah, 188. Then I got a whole other backup account on TikTok with 39,000 on that one. And I got my old YouTube channel back. I don't know if you know this, but my YouTube channel had gotten deleted and it was gone for a whole year, and I got it back, and we're at 24,000 over on my YouTube channel. So what I was going to tell you, over on YouTube, if you can upload your podcast episodes as vertical live streams on YouTube. They've been pushing those as well a lot.
Yeah. So my episodes are side by side like we are.
Yeah.
Those are my episodes, but every single short that I post is full screen vertical. I noticed that they get a lot more attention whenever they're full screen. So I have to, it's a whole process, but I'll screen record my YouTube episode of which part I want to cut up. And then I'll put it into iMovie. And then I use a pic collage page where I put me at the bottom and I put my guest at the top. I'll put in MJ's Progress Not Perfection in the middle just to tag it. And I'll post that as a vertical on my YouTube and my TikTok and occasionally on Facebook and Instagram. I like getting the awareness out there. I've been posting a bunch of overdosing stories the last day or so because today is National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day.
Yeah.
So to like give a light to that, I've been posting a bunch of overdosing stories. Like the one I posted earlier is my friend Anna. I met her in AA in Santa Monica, California, and her and I became like instant friends. And she told a story how she was dumped from a car after an OD and she wasn't found for 3 days. And she came to in an alleyway on Skid Row, wrapped up naked.
Wow.
And, you know, and she had to learn how to walk again. And, you know, she almost didn't make it. Like it was rough. So I cut that up and I posted it. And it's got like, last I looked, like 700 views on TikTok. So, and when we're done, I'll lay in bed and I'll find a bunch of videos that I'm going to cut up and post tomorrow.
So what I want to ask you before I let you go, I want you to just sit back and think for a second that there's somebody watching this right now who's out there who is going through it. They're struggling. They don't think that there's any way that they could ever reach where you have gotten. They don't think they can ever become abstinent. And they're just struggling. What are some words of encouragement or things that you would say to somebody who's just scrolling and finds this video and thinks, oh, that'll never be me. I'll never be able to accomplish that.
I always thought it would never be me. You know, I was asked to go to rehab a bunch of times by my family and friends. And I kept saying the same thing, which was, I'm not ready yet. And I knew that I would be ready eventually. You have to want sobriety. You can't need it. If you need to be in recovery, it's because you're on probation. It's because your family's forcing you to. It's because you're going to lose your job. If you're doing it because you need to do it for somebody else, it most likely won't work. But when you downright want to be sober, that's when it actually happens, because you're doing it for yourself and not for somebody else. Yeah, it'll be nice if your relationships improve because you're sober, but you have to want it for yourself more than you need it for somebody else.
True that. True that. You look like you're just burning up over there.
I am a little bit.
Your little eyes look like they're just kind of like, you just look like you don't feel good. I feel so bad that I feel bad that I'm glad you didn't stand me up, but I feel bad that you're sick. You know what I mean?
I just took I felt sick, and then I took my temperature, and of course it was like, you have a fever, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, that like makes that like it cements it in your mind. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming on and sharing with us. Again, I am fucking highly impressed that you're abstinent. Just going to say it. Okay. I am really impressed. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
When I take that step in my journey, I will be coming to you to ask you for all the tips and tricks.
I'll be here. I'm not going.
I'm just really, really proud of you. I'm going to link all your socials. Like I said before, if there's anything I can help you with, like I said, you're welcome to post all your episodes in my recovery group and all that good stuff. So I just really appreciate you for taking the time and sharing your recovery journey here on my channel, because I know there are tons of people out there that are just like you. So thank you so much again for coming on, and please send me all the links to your socials so I can link them. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole.
All right. Bye, JD. Love you, man.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, guys, that was JD. Okay, so I really, really want to highlight something for you guys. So, a lot of you guys have been taught that, abstinence is the only way to recovery, and that if you're not completely abstinent from all drugs and alcohol, then you're not in recovery and you shouldn't even be celebrating anything. And I just really wanted to have JD on to show his progression. So, JD was, first of all, he got sober from alcohol in 2020. He got off of opioids in 2018, I think, before that. And then in his sobriety, he utilized medical marijuana. And then he also got on medication for anxiety, which was a benzo. During his recovery process, he started to struggle with overtaking the benzos because of a tragedy, losing somebody that he loved. And he also began to abuse his medical marijuana, and he was self-aware enough to realize that. And so he went from utilizing medical marijuana in a healthy way to abusing it, realizing it, and then getting off of marijuana and benzos and pivoting. Okay. And so many times in recovery, we're taught that if we have a lapse or a relapse or a slip, that we have to go all the way back to the beginning and start over, that we lost everything that we worked so hard for. And it's just really discouraging, right? It's really freaking discouraging. So I just want to use JD as like a case study. Okay. He pivoted, and then he started a new journey. Okay. He's been in recovery the whole time. He has multiple different recovery dates that he celebrates, and that's completely fine. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to show you guys that recovery is different for every single person. It is not a straight line. There are hills and valleys. There are forks in the motherfucking road. Okay. There can be all kinds of things that can change for you in your recovery journey. And so be gentle with yourself. Take your time. If your recovery journey doesn't look like mine, or doesn't look like JD's, or doesn't look like a person who is abstinent, or a person on MAT, or a person that's utilizing plant medicine, you have to find what works for you, okay? And only you will know what works for you. And when you find that, dig in and double down. So anyway, I just really wanted to have JD on to show you guys the different perspectives and how recovery can change for a person over time. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I love you guys very much. Next week, Wednesday, we will be having my friend Melissa on. Her daughter, Angel, died from an overdose last year, and it was a very, very tragic overdose. And I met Melissa on TikTok, and I was actually trying to help her daughter for a little bit. And, she ended up losing her battle with addiction. Melissa is also a person she's also in recovery. So she will be coming on to share her daughter and her story of recovery, and her daughter's story of losing her battle with addiction. So I hope you guys will tune in for that. That'll be on Wednesday night as well. Don't forget to give this video a like, share it with all your friends. And if you guys have any requests of content that you would like me to record, send me a DM, comment on this video, tag me so that way I see it and it comes to my notifications. I love making videos for you guys about whatever topics y'all want me to talk about. So yeah, just let me know and I'll make it happen. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, y'all.